This is just a general. This is a general line of the brow, across the eye socket. In other words, when you look at a person straight out. What you're seeing, okay, the eyes are in the center. You have the corners of the eye socket, or the whole. See, we tend to think this is a straight line. It's not a straight line. It's actually a curve. Okay, but the ear will line up with that. Okay, from here to here, the bottom of the nose is halfway. And the ear will tend to work with that. The bottom of the lower lip is halfway. And the mouth is above the corner of the jaw, tends to work with the opening of the mouth. But this is not the outside. This is inside. The back of the head is wider than the front of the head. Okay, so now as we're going through here, the eyes actually are going this way, sockets. So all of the now, so these now as we go, what we're going to have to be adding each time now as we go through here, we're going to be adding new things to look at or to think about. And so that's why I start out with a very, very simple, very, very simple thing. This is like cartooning, you know. I've gone through this stuff, you know. I gotta. Same thing. Same exact thing.
Incredible.
Okay, so and you're right. The drawing, you should draw as much as you can from imagination because it is easier.
Okay, so it's not bad to
yeah.
do.
Well, the only thing that's more difficult from drawing from imagination, is that you actually then have to understand the anatomy.
Right. Yeah.
At this stage here, you've got something that you can copy because that's the crutch.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, 10 minutes. So again, you're not interested in finishing a drawing. What you're trying to do is understand the action and clarify it. Okay, you're analyzing. Okay, so now draw relatively slow. Looking, coming through. I'm just trying to feel the action. Chances are I wouldn't draw the arm that way because it looks like it's an amputation. So I would take and draw that out here somewhere. Okay. Coming across the other side of mine, basically I would draw both sides the same. Through. Yeah. Now, in, going over the surface. Feel the leg coming forward. Knee. Back in. Through. checking where we're at. Through. Now, I go back into this. Now, as I'm taking in, get the pit of the neck. Visualizing the neck now as a cylinder. We're fitting in. And the back of the rib cage is high, back here. We come through. And looking to how far out we're going. Coming through. Now I start to really thinking on the surface coming through. And here particularly now I want to focus on how do we fit? How we fit in, feeling the rib cage pushing out. And we go to the pelvis here, really coming across. Here. Visualize this as a really simple volume. So I'm coming through thinking that she's turned now. So this is actually a corner here, like a box coming through. Okay, the leg is really fitting in pretty high up here. Coming through, feeling under, coming across. Now as I do this, I'm constantly going from one side to the other. Thinking of the volume through. The end of the knee, when you look at this, we want to see that the leg is turned. This is a corner coming through. And back, over the surface. Over. It's going in. Volume. I would actually be thinking of the pressure against that leg. Go over, pull through. Again, going across the condyles of the knee here. Through. Fitting in. Okay, now we're going back in, going over the surface. It's going back through. And now, I start dealing with the arms. I'm focusing on that everything is building off of this. The clavicle is lifting. It starts out, goes in, it's wrapping around the neck. And we're going out, and it's coming over to here. This distance from here to here is equal to the sternum, which is equal to the bottom of the 10th rib. Okay. And that will take us also down to the pelvis. Now it's shifted because she moved in, but that's right. So now, focus first on seeing the shoulder as essentially a cylinder going back in. Going over, the pectoralis muscles are pulling off the chest. You need to give a little bit more volume to this. And we're going back. When you look at this, you can see trapezius coming over, scapula, across. So again, it's the volumes. over. Through. Now, when I deal with the, thank you so much. Look at the look at the wrist. See, the wrist is a rectangular form. We're building through and on hands. At this stage, for what we're doing, it's just a simple blocking in. Okay, pushing again the clavicle, and this is really clear. She's really good for being able to see. You can feel it starts out. The clavicle's an S curve, goes in, and it turns. So, feel the trapezius coming out from behind. Scapula is on the end here. Deltoids pulling from this corner. And we're going around. And the pectoralis muscles are pulling off. Now if I pull that arm out, because it doesn't make any sense the way it is, so I would have to adjust this a bit. And right now I'm just going to block in placement, but the pecs would be then pulling over to here. And we build, the breasts are on top of the surface. Real. At this point, it's just an indication where we're at. It's enough. So now, as I take and develop that drawing farther, I'm taking constantly looking for the structure. So as I go back to that head now, taking and dealing the corner of the eye socket coming through, feeling the planes, feeling the eye socket going in, coming through, cheekbone. You can come down to where we're pulling into the masseter muscles, coming off, going in. Proportions, bottom of the nose. I feel the shape coming out. And that gets us started. That's the layout. So from that you would take and constantly be developing and building the drawing up. But this gives us just, okay, got it started. Trying to hear. Now, again, all we're trying to do at this point is we're trying to analyze and get the drawing laid in, but focusing on the gesture. So, see the head come through, placement, the corner of the eye socket up here. I want to feel here, she's twisting. So we're coming through. So there's not a lot of huge movements in here, but in fact, this a very simple pose is usually the more difficult because we have to bring to it. So this shoulder is coming back. So as I draw this, then I want to feel the rib cage going through. So I'm going through, across, a bit of a turning taking place. So I'm going to feel that she's turning that way. So we need to come across the figure. And this is where I was talking about where this is typically a much more difficult pose because here's the real tendency is to copy. And this is where I was talking earlier about the necessity to take and really be analyzing, trying to figure out. And it's not just analyzing what the pose is, but how do you communicate it? So we take and see, oh, okay, the shoulder, I want to get this coming through here. The arm is coming back, going in. Got this foot coming out here. So now, as I go back in, she's twisting. So I want to feel coming from behind. So the lines that I'm drawing have to communicate twist. So it's coming through, I'm going over the surface. And so you can feel the pressure as we're coming through. And it's actually, if you look at the lines across the sacrum here, it's going this way. And so there's a corner of the pelvis itself is going through. So there we're seeing the side over here. So this is coming down so that when we're coming through, feel it's coming in, excuse me, is that come through corner of the pelvis here. Now I can make this drop a bit farther. So to make this shoulder now, we have to visualize the scapula is on top. This is pulling back, so there's some pressure, tension in here. Coming through. Now we're taking the trapezius muscles, are taking and going up and fitting in. And this shoulder is pulling back through and here. So all these are pulling off. You can make this probably a little bit higher even. So focusing on this, I can see now where I need to take in, feel this pull down a bit lower, coming through. It's going to drop even more. But there's this pull thing in the side coming through. This shoulder is going the opposite direction now. This is going in. And we want to feel the pull from behind. It's coming over. So what I'm drawing here, I'm actually thinking of where the corner of the bone is here, where the scapula, the clavicle would be coming in here. This distance from here to here is equal to the bottom of the scapula, which is also this then is taken to the bottom of the rib cage. And I can start to pull this out a bit. Now we can see this is fitting in. And we start going over. We can feel the pull now where the pelvis is going, coming down. So now, as I start to draw here, it's getting a little bit more elaborate than just the simple volumes that we've been talking about, mainly because it's sort of a necessity because of the way that it's such a subtle turning of the pose. So now as I go through and I'm drawing, I'm focusing on going over the surface, going in, going through, coming across. look at the end of the knee. We see the go over the condyles to the end of the femur underneath. Through. Now, here I would take and come back in. I'll probably maybe pushing this out too far. Maybe this doesn't go quite so far. Come through. Feel the mind come down to here. I look to the condyles on the end of the humerus, and then the end of the ulna. And next week we're going to be talking about a bit more anatomy and stuff. But through, getting in. This is really coming back. Now we go back down. Look at the wrist is a rectangular form. And we're going down, we're fitting in. Okay, what we're seeing here is just a very little. You have to imagine more with the heel and the foot here. The leg is coming through. And you look at the end of this would be the calcaneus bone coming through. This is a plane going in. Okay, the foot is twisted, so we want to feel the shape that the end of the ball of the big toe here. You have to visualize this, the arch, these things going through, coming around, and thinking of the shaft. Okay. Now this arm is taking and coming back. Or we look to the elbow. We feel the forms pulling off of the scapula, going over, and basically pulling in. Now I'm going to go back in, and the head to try to take in, get it taking and turning it a little bit more. So looking at what you're getting, it's one of the more awkward angles is sort of a vanishing profile. You try to feel going through. You feel the cheekbone actually pulling in front. And we're coming down through. This is where the jawbone is. Feel the ear, and move over. And we can just pick up the bit of the chin behind the nose, coming through, and a hint of the eye. Feel is coming under. And that's, we just got started. Okay. But the process is taking and doing the drawing is one of, you're constantly analyzing how the thing goes, but it's that subtle. So carrying this drawing, if I was now taking and trying to develop it, I would take and be using now lines. I would be coming through, trying to pick up lines that are going to take and show that gesture a bit more. So they're coming across. And I could even, this could be dropped down farther. So we're building the process. Right.